Here are the best sleeper running backs for fantasy football in 2024 being drafted running back 24 or later. DeAndre Swift was signed to a 3-year, $24 million contract this offseason to the Chicago Bears, the fastest growing offense in the NFL. We've seen plenty of positives from DeAndre Swift throughout his career as a dual threat running back. I think Chicago can be the place he puts it all together. Looking at the rushing upside, over 1,000 yards on the ground last season as the 5th highest rusher. 5 games of 130-plus rushing yards across the last 3 seasons. He averaged 5.5 yards per carry in 2022. As a pass catcher, 62 receptions and 452 receiving yards back in 2021. 5th in yards created as a playmaker back in 2021 as well. And then looking at fantasy points per game, his opening 3 seasons, 2020 through 2022, 15th, 8th, and 15th. So he got paid. We've seen the rushing. We've seen the receiving upside. Can he put it all together in Chicago? A great offense for 2024. RB25 is a steal. Zach Moss will replace Joe Mixon for the Cincinnati Bengals in 2024. 2-year, $8 million contract. Listen to some of this fantasy scoring last season with the Colts filling in for Jonathan Taylor. 20.7 fantasy points in week 2, 22.5 fantasy points in week 3, 33.5 fantasy points in week 5, 17.9 in week 6, 14.4 in week 8, and 12.3 in week 15. Career highs last season in rushing attempts, rushing yards, receptions, total touchdowns, and fantasy points per game. And Zach Moss is only competing with Chase Brown on a good Bengals offense. You can lock in over 200 touches on an offense led by Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. This offseason, Devin Singletary was signed to the New York Giants on a 3-year, $16.5 million contract. He's been fantasy relevant in the past with the Buffalo Bills, the Houston Texans, and now he has a nice opportunity with the Giants. He got hot last season, weeks 10 through 18. During that span, he ranked number 2 in total rushing yards, number 9 in total fantasy points scored. He had 3 top 10 fantasy finishes and 7 top 24 fantasy finishes. So it was just last season that Devin Singletary was very fantasy relevant and in plenty of lineups. Now, the Giants are not the Bills, they're not the Texans, but he only has Tyrone Tracy Jr. to compete with. This is another guy that can see 200-plus touches in 2024. And with a running back 32 price tag, I'm in. The Tennessee Titans selected Tyjae Spears in the 3rd round of the 2023 NFL Draft, and he surprised a lot of us by playing 52.9% of the snaps on a team that had Derrick Henry play a full season. As a rookie, Spears finished number 9 in targets with 70, number 7 in target share, number 9 in receptions with 52, number 11 in receiving yards with 385, number 6 in yards per touch, number 4 in juke rate, number 23 in evaded tackles, and number 5 in breakaway run rate via Player Profiler. And you look at his competition now, it goes from Derrick Henry to Tony Pollard. And Tony Pollard is decent, but he's not Derrick Henry. And this man did all of what I listed with Derrick Henry. Sophomore year can be a leap in usage and production. And at running back 31, he can be a smash value. Ezekiel Elliott lands back with the Cowboys. He broke up with his ex and got back with his ex. He spent a year with the Patriots. 4 seasons over 50 receptions, 4 seasons of 12-plus total touchdowns. Listen, I know he might have been inefficient at times last season, and he's an aging veteran, but he only has Rico Dowdle to compete with on the Dallas Cowboys. And the Dallas Cowboys are going to be a good offense in 2024, which means he will probably be in some nice red zone opportunities. So even if Zeke doesn't rush for 1,000 yards or catch 60 passes, I think he's going to see volume with the Cowboys. I think he's going to score some touchdowns. He's going to be a value at his current cost, which is running back 39 right now. And finally, Austin Eckler is being drafted as the running back 40 right now. He did have a down 2023. He was banged up. He wasn't utilized to his strengths at times. He did finish 5 of his 14 appearances as a top 8 fantasy football running back. And you look at his resume, seasons of 107, 70, and 92 receptions, along with 3 seasons averaging over 19 fantasy points per game. And a lot of guys out there will say, he is washed now. He is a ghost of his former self. But I would argue that the Washington Commanders know exactly who they picked up this offseason. They went out and grabbed Eckler. They know what his skill set is. I think he's going to do what he's always done. I think he's going to go out there and run a little bit, but primarily catch passes. He's going to be a nice outlet for Jayden Daniels. And we want to target pass-catching running backs in fantasy football, and that's what he's going to be. He's going to be solid in PPR leagues. Be sure you are following for consistent fantasy football content with the intention always to help you play to win.